Greetings, LEGO fans. With the weather getting nicer, it's time to have some more nature builds. And for today's release, we have the first kayak build. And something a little less connected to nature, we have today's kit, the Lunar Space Station. This is kit number 60227 and has 412 pieces, so it should fly together pretty quickly, which is a pretty good first test build for the season because I do plan on slowly ramping up the size of these kayak builds as the season goes along and hopefully get into something a little more interesting by the fall. But before we can get to any of that, let's get this boat out in the water and get this underway. The Lunar Space Station. I'm not sure it makes it lunar. I don't even know if it's possible to put anything orbit around the moon, but it's definitely a space station. Equipped with 3 modules that have everything the astronauts need to both live and conduct their experiments in space, a solar panel array to keep them all powered, a communication system so we can keep in contact with us on the ground here, and a little shuttle so that our minifigures can get to and from the space station. This little kit has what's needed to sustain life in orbit. This slick one-seater spacecraft is all set to bring astronauts down to Earth for a supply run or off to the moon to collect samples. Not having much in the way of extra features, this is pretty much a what you see is what you get. But there is a tiny cargo hold in here, so those supply runs to Earth or those moon rocks you collect can make it back to the station. And when you get back to the station, there's a hatch just off the kitchen module, which when open, provides a place for the shuttle to dock. Now as to the station itself, we have our 3 modules, power supply, and communication systems. On the LEGO webpage, it claims that these 3 modules are detachable. But I find this to be a little misleading, because to detach them, first you need to remove a brick from the top and the bottom, so a little disassembly is required, and once they're removed, there's no hatches to keep the air inside, so I'm not really sure what they're going at with this statement. Each section has a large roof piece that's easy to remove. giving you easy access to the interior so you can start with your adventures. Starting over on the left, we have the lab. Off in one corner of the room we see a microscope, and flipping it around to see the other side, it's quite clear that this is a geology lab. Equipped with some computer monitors up on the wall, a hammer so you can crack open those rocks, and a rock specimen, which is all set to be cracked open, spread apart, and by pressing this little button on the back, activating the light brick, so this geode can get a proper analysis. Moving over to the other side of the station, we have the kitchen module. Off on one side, there's not really much to see, just a pair of tools hanging on the wall, a space wrench, and this other thing which I can't identify. But flip it around, and it's quite apparent that this is the kitchen. Over on the far left, on the computer terminal, we can see the robot, which must be floating around outside the station conducting some kind of maintenance. And just next to that, we have the hydroponic system, where you can see some leafy greens growing beneath the red and blue grow lights. And on the far right, we have an oven, in this case, all equipped with a pizza ready to be served. And to serve this pizza, all you have to do is press this little button on the back, and you can launch the pizza out of the oven with such force that you would swear that this was actually designed as a Ninja Turtle weapon. For the final module, we have the living quarters, where we have this treadmill right in the center to keep our astronauts in shape, some entertainment up on the walls, in this case in the form of a baseball game, and this green thing on the other side, which I didn't recognize at first, is actually the bed, because up in space, you can sleep on the walls. And finally, we have this arm that protrudes at the other side of the station. Here we find the 4 solar panels that keep the station powered and our astronauts alive, and the communication dish, keeping our astronauts connected to everyone that they wish to on the ground. And now we have our little robot friend, who floats around outside the station, performing all kinds of tasks while the astronauts remain safe and cozy inside. And this brings us to our astronaut minifigures. One wearing a huge spacesuit all equipped for a spacewalk, another wearing a lighter spacesuit just enough to provide some protection in the shuttle, and our 2 scientists living on the space station with no protection at all. Having built this, I can say that this set is really pretty simple. There's not a whole lot here, and I feel that the target audience is really for the most junior of LEGO fans. Not the Duplo fans, but the next level just above that. It's not really one for display. Its playability I find to be okay, but in my opinion, a little bit limited. But you do get some pretty cool things with this set. For example, I'm really into this geode. These are relatively new pieces to the LEGO collection, and I haven't really seen them around, but they're pretty cool and I'm definitely happy to have in my collection. Additionally, I also really like these large pieces that you pull off of the roof. They also come with matching base pieces, so there's a lot of potential of what you could build with these. So in conclusion, I think it's pretty safe to say that this kit is not for display, it's more for play, but even its playability I find to be limited. So for me, the most appealing part of the set are the pieces that I'm going to get to reuse later, and that's not bad.